beautiful friends. This morning, what was dropping in was trauma bonds. Trauma bonds. Most of us understand trauma bonds within a relationship. This is the energy or the unprocessed emotions that we have within us, things that we haven't faced yet, things that have happened to us in our childhood. And energy matches energy, right? And we jump into a relationship with somebody that has the same energy, somebody that's meant to show us to actually heal that shit instead of rinse, repeat. But this morning what was dropping into me was, and I think this is a thing, the more I think about it, the more I realize, yeah, we have trauma bonds to the corporations. We have trauma bonds within the jobs that we're operating in. We have trauma bonds to the narcissist boss. What do you think about that? So what is a trauma bond? A trauma bond represents a complex and often misunderstood phenomenon. And I'm going to show it occurs within abusive relationships. Now, when I say the word abuse can be different things. It can be speaking poorly to somebody. It can be physical abuse. It can be sexual abuse. It can be an energy exchange that isn't reciprocal. These bonds are emotional connections developed between an abuser and the abused. So how do you pull this into working within a corporation? Well, you've all heard the story that it's the corporate narcissist that climbs the ladder, the one that's willing to stomp over people within the three-dimensional system to get ahead at all costs, regardless of friendship, regardless of ethics, regardless of morals often. And this is, hasn't this been the three-dimensional way? But if we're operating from five-dimensional reality streams now, that is five-dimensional, if you're talking manifestation, five-dimensional means you are spirit body, not physical body. You have activated into spirit body, and we're operating from the field or the quantum field of love. Now, I posted in my stories today a beautiful quote from Joe Dispenza, and I'm not going to read it word for word verbatim. I'd like you to go read that for yourself. But in essence, he's saying this: people who hate themselves hate other people. People who are angry with themselves are angry with other people. People who are impatient with themselves are impatient with other people. But when people are internally happy and grateful, they are patient and grateful for other people. So it's very easy to see the measure, actually, if you look at things back to front. And so in the corporate realm, we're dealing with impatience, we're dealing with pressure, we're dealing with stress, unreasonable amounts of stress. And to get into this permanent stress state means that your nervous system isn't regulated, and therefore the stress will attract more stress, and so it perpetuates. And so we're slaves to not being grounded. We're slaves to this perpetual wave that creates disease, dis-ease, disconnection from spirit, actually. And so what I'm asking myself today, because we have unhealed traumas, are we attracted to the ruling within the corporation? Hear the word corpse and corporation. The corpse, or the death vibration, just because it feels familiar. And there are so many people realizing their self-worth at the moment, deciding that, you know what, I've had enough of that. I am going to be courageous, heart space, and jump into building my own business, do my own thing, create my own rules, create my own lifestyle, be in charge. Let spirit flow, let spirit co-create. Let's manifest out of the trauma bonds. Let's manifest with love, joy, peace. Is this job today giving me joy? Is this job today giving me peace? Is this job part of my codependency to the system? Because we have been very tethered in codependency to the system. In fact, without this narcissistic boundaries around us. Some of us don't feel like we're even able to provide for ourselves without somebody in those energies as our leaders. Isn't that weird? What do you think about this? How can we shift it? How can we shift it? Well, it's simple to shift actually. It's dealing with emotions that accompany abuse. And when we say the big word abuse, it's abuse for you. What's happened to you to make you feel unsafe or feel like you couldn't achieve any miraculous dreams? Don't you know how powerful you are? You're an incredible spirit being, pulling in wisdom and information from every single dimension. Choose today to operate from your highest timeline. It can be challenging to shift this actually, because our individual feelings are really difficult to process, and we like to be told what to do. And this is where the codependent is attracted to the narcissist as a boss. Now, not all corporations are ruled by narcissistic tendencies, but if the corporation's been successful in 3D, odds are there's a little bit of that going on there. And we may have tethered our energetic field in our unhealed traumas, aka our emotional state, to that in order to feel safe. But you're not safe in that. Those systems are collapsing rapidly. It is the light being's job to shine and collapse corruption, collapse stress, collapse fear, collapse fear of not having enough, collapse that old cycle. That old cycle is just keeping us in the perpetuated stress state, which is an unhealed nervous system. It is your nervous system that's grafted into the quantum field, which activates the light of Christ, or the ability to manifest miracles, actually. Let's have a little chat about the formation of trauma bonds. Okay, so there is a cycle of abuse that happens with the significant role of the formation of a trauma bond, and I'm just going to let you know. So it goes like this. Typically, the cycle involves a period of tension building, an abusive incident. That could even be the way you're spoken to in your office state. And then reconciliation, a calm phase known as the honeymoon period, and then repeat. And so the codependent often wants to fix. Yeah, the codependent comes in thinking, I can see the best in this scenario, I can fix that. And the honeymoon period becomes so addictive, doesn't it? You know, like we just want to think the best, but it's not actually realistic. There are several factors contributing to the formation of the trauma bonds, and that means intermittent positive reinforcement. So the more you sit within a system or a program or a relationship that's reinforcing that, your neural pathway is becoming broader. It's a highway. It's your autopilot. Isolation, abusers tend to isolate you, and then we think, oh gosh, I have no help, there's no way, there's this desperate, there's no way of getting out of this, so better the devil I know than not. I've watched friends stuck in really, really unhappy careers their whole life because they think that they can't do better. I see women and men stuck in relationships like that too. They're not happy within the relationship, and so better the devil you know, that's what they'll say. And so isolating themselves from any potential help, this is self-sabotage. And then shared adversity, going through intense or traumatic experiences together, can create a sense of bonding, but it's not a healthy bond, it's a toxic bond. Even if one party is the cause of that adversity, you get things like Stockholm syndrome, or you see domestic violence victims running back to the perpetrator, running back because they don't feel safe without the chaos. Their nervous system's so used to having the chaos that that is their addiction. Self-esteem. And so victims usually have a pre-existing issue. It's never the narcissist that's created the issue with self-esteem. They've just embellished it. They've just enhanced it. The issue was already there. The issue was the root problem within the trauma. And I've never thought about it this way before within a corporation. But even within the church system, it's called Corpus Christi, which means the dead body of Christ. Are you the dead body of Christ within your universal body state, your matter? Or are you alive within the light, which is spirit state, spirit man? Christ is shining. My gifts, my joy, my exhilarated energies are shining because I've faced my darkness, I've faced my abuse, I've faced my traumas, I've faced these energies, and once I've faced them, they're no longer my demons, they're my friends. I've released them, and then I have the ability to attract something outside of codependence. Codependency, victims, and we create that victim state ourselves, make ideal slaves. I'll say it again for those in the back. Codependency, victims, and we create this victim mindset ourselves by choosing to stay stuck, make the ideal slaves. And the corporation loves this because it's the slave that makes the money, right? It's the slave that brings the energy. It's the slave that brings the creativity. I could give you so many examples to this. I could. I'm not sure I should. Breaking trauma bonds. Seek support, seek education, establish boundaries, and take time out for self-care. You are sacred. If you don't have an energy worker yet, if you don't have a coach or a mentor that isn't emotionally tethered to you, then my friends, how will you get to 5D status? Working within spirit. Spirit, I'll remind you, is unseen things. Anyone that's walking around in their body telling you face to face that they're 5D now isn't getting what 5D is. 5D is operating from spirit plane. Of course, our spirits are within us and around us, but we're at the cusp of 3D to 5D, and there's a whole lot that needs to happen. In my stories also last night, I posted 3D Earth splitting from 5D Earth, and with that, the feelings that are manifesting at three-dimensional Earth plane is operating in fear. I'm not good enough. I won't be provided for. I'm afraid. I feel guilty. I feel guilty if I leave that job. What about, trying to rescue everybody else over self? Self-sacrificial feelings that aren't necessarily relevant. Did anyone else ask you to save them? No. This is overriding free will. And 5D Earth is operating in joy. It's operating in bliss state. It's love state. I had a client this morning and I asked her to visualize a door with a key to get to the next dimensional mindset state. The reason we have doors with keys in 3D reality is because it's a fractal of what's happening in 5-dimensional state. You won't step into the next plane of existence or the next dimension without a key. A key is a frequency. It is an emotion. And so there are so many dimensions to the astral state. There are so many dimensions to the heavenly state. Christ said it like this: I'm building many mansions with rooms within rooms. I have in my Father's house, we have many mansions, many dimensions, many places to access now. If you have the right key, the right frequency, and you won't access the heavenly state now, this is your second coming. You are the Christ. You are the body of Christ. You're not the Corpus Christi. You're not the corporation. You're not the dead body of Christ. Even our governments are corporations. Did you know that? Are we tethered to the governmental corporation because of our trauma that we haven't faced? Are we tethered to the corporations that feed us shit food and give us drugs that, let's be honest, that's not a health system. That's a sick system. Are we tethered to that because of the traumas that we're holding within our belly? Are we addicted to being disconnected? And so better the devil you know. Because it is the devil you know. And I really see we need to see these two earths splitting. They create a V Venus, divine feminine. Divine feminine, wisdom. Wisdom has to come into the house. Okay, that's happened to me. I'm going to face those emotional fears. Every single dense emotion is a fear separating you from source energy. Every single thing that you've walked through is for your good, actually. Life is happening for you, not to you. And so cutting trauma bonds intentionally today means facing those energies so that you stop attracting them. And choose faith and co-create. What is bringing you joy? Are you going to build your own business that brings joy to you? Are you going to weave joy into everything that you do and therefore change the earth? Then you'll attract people into your life that are seeking joy. Doesn't that feel exciting? Trauma bonds are deeply ingrained though. This may take a little practice. So please find a mentor. Please find somebody that's practicing this so that you can have somebody within your proximity, because we are groupthink beings. Cut the toxic connections. If you are looking for leadership within a corporation, ask yourself what within you has attracted you to the corpse of the corporation. It's spelling. What trauma bonds are tethering you there as a slave, where you don't feel free unless you are systematically bound and told what to do? Does the spirit need to be told what to do? We command the body, not the spirit. The spirit flows. The spirit, in essence, can be everywhere at the same time. The spirit's not confined by four walls or a business label or a career label or a religious label. The spirit has the capacity to see things from a much higher perspective. Isn't that exciting? Choose freedom today. I implore you, choose freedom today, sacred soul. Create 5D earth with the energies of love, joy, peace, compassion. Because when I'm patient with myself, I'll be patient with others that are vibrating in a lower state. Amanda's saying, I received a message from God. I see myself as God sees me. Oh, I love that. 100%. You are perfect in every single way. You are made in the image of the Mother Father. Your eye is the nebula. Your skin is the crevices within the beautiful earth when it's parched. Drink from the living water. See your thumbprint as the thumbprint of the divine within the tree when you expose and cut the trunk down. You are the trunk of the divine. You are the messenger. You are the living temple. Vibrate at a higher state. Just ask for the key. The key of David is love. The frequency back to heavenly state and bliss state is love. It's that simple. And with love comes all these incredible other energies: bliss state, enlightenment, passion, courage, pleasure, desire, gorgeous living things. They're not dead, they're not cut off. Doesn't that feel exciting? It feels really exciting to me. I will reiterate, seek support, find a mentor, educate yourself. Remember, the ego likes to think it knows everything. Yeah, ego is the divider. Ego needs the religion. Ego needs the job title. Ego needs to feel like they belong, whereas its spirit just shines. Arise, shine, for your light has come. Your light lives within your third eye. Your mind can be illuminated when you step back into spirit state. Be spiritual above and over everything else. The ego clamors for earthly things, but true consciousness is gold. Establish boundaries, self-loving boundaries. If I love myself, I will love others regardless of how they're vibrating. If I'm patient with self, I will be patient with others because I too was vibrating at a lower state. But if I'm angry with others, I am angry with self. If I am hating others, I am hating self. This is how we know what energy is within. How am I treating another? That's what I need to work on. It's really simple, actually. If you would like to learn more of this type of conversation for self-help, because you are an ancient soul, you already know the way. You just need an activation for remembering. Please join my membership. It's the last week of becoming a lifetime member at just $33 a month. That's Australian dollars for those that are overseas, which isn't very much. You're just helping me monetize the flow of energy exchange. You are so worthy of what you're bringing, and I just want to hear your voice within the collective of New Earth Builders. We're choosing 5D all the way. We're operating from spirit in flow state. I want to be there to witness and support you in this incredible journey, whether it's personal or professional. It's all the same thing. Energy matches energy. Lots of love and have a gorgeous day. Chat soon.